So everyone, this is Becca B. I am here with Groovemaster Jerry Jemmott.
Jerry Jemmott.
Jemmott, sorry. Got it.
Yes, Jemmott.
All right. So how do you want to just go over the questionnaire and tell me what you think?
No, you can just ask me questions based upon your question. Let's go through the questionnaire. You have it in front of you.
All right, sounds good. Well, what are the top 10 books that have influenced your life or a lasting impression on you, and why?
I wouldn't say 10. I can't remember 10
That's
at
fine.
this point. But basically, most of the books that have helped me have been self-help books, books about health, philosophy, astrology, religion, things of that nature. Those are things that have shaped my life and have given me guidance. And I try to impart that in my writing, in my work, in my life. And that it's been quite influential. In fact, the first book that really influenced me greatly was a book called Back to Eden, book by Jeffrey Klaus. But this basically talks about herbs. And that led me to a book called Otto Ehret's Mucusless Diet Healing System. And that led me to Johanna Brandt's Grape Cure. All these things I did to overcome the troubles I had in my life coming up as a child, as a young adult. I read that book in 1970, and it really, those two books really shaped my life and got me on a path of correcting a lot of problems I was having. And I recently revisited that same book this year, and to the point where I bought like 25 copies of it and sent to my kids and friends. It hit me that hard, the fact it was so impactful. Even not even it was hit me then. It was the truth of the truth. This book was written. This book was written in 19. Man was born in 1980. He was born in 1860, and he realized then all the problems that people were having based upon their diet. Mankind was already going downhill as a result of dietary things that were happening. He saw it then, and he tried to correct it, and he passed away, unfortunately, in 1922 as a result of an accident. We came over to America to the World's Fair. World War I started. He couldn't go back to Germany. That's where he's from. We did all his research. We had clinics set up all over Europe, health sanitariums, and he brought his methodology over here to the World's Fair. And then the World's Fair of 1915, and then the war broke out. So he couldn't go back to Germany. So he had to stay here. And he eventually met like-minded people here. And unfortunately had an accident. He was rushing. Speed kills.
Yeah.
You read the book, he left a great meeting. He had a great meeting. There were so many people, they couldn't even come in. And in that time, there was no standing room because of fire regulations. So people had to stay outside. And after the meeting, he rushed out to go to his new home in the suburbs of Los Angeles to catch a train. And he slipped on the sidewalk and fell backwards, hit his head, never woke up.
Aye. TBI.
Okay. So all that,
wow,
all that information, all that knowledge, but speed at the end of the day, if you're rushing to get something done, speed kills.
Yeah.
Cause and effect, it never stops.
Yeah,
it's timeless.
Yeah.
It's throughout history.
Yeah, my cousin lost his life because of another driver who was speeding down the freeway, and he lost control of the car and crashed into him. So, yeah.
Yes, and being in the right
Don't
place,
rush.
being there. I always say when people, two people meeting, people, one person might be, they both probably were speeding for some reason, right? Unbeknownst to them, you could be speeding at 1 mile an hour. It's not a matter of actually physical speed, but it's the mental speed of just rushing, just thinking too fast and putting things in the wrong order. Example of speed. We have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
But they were explained later on when I studied Kundalini yoga. I got into astrology, numerology, and eventually I found true Buddhism. And that kind of like put everything all together in one package under the aspect of the law of cause and effect. So everything basically happens because of that reason. Cause and effect. Why we know, why we don't know. Why we go left, why we go right. Why we run, why we hide. Why we eat, why we don't eat. It's all the things, why we take care of ourselves, why we neglect ourselves. All these things are based upon cause and effect. And most of it is mental. Our nervous system is what controls a lot of the things that happen to our lives. And this is something that you're born with a good nervous system. You might be born with an inadequate nervous system or one that's compromised. So you have problems in life as a result of that. And so you make choices based upon that. So those are the big things I kind of vibrate to. And in terms of even in terms of music, I pick songs that a song is a book in itself. It's a short story, okay? It's a way of getting your story across in a very palatable way that people can understand, and it's memorable. It doesn't take forever. It's only like it used to be 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You get your message across. It's a great medium for saying something.
True.
I've learned a lot from listening to music. So I like my fly me to the moon,
Yep.
off the top of my head. First, something that gives me inspiration, things of that nature.
I have a question. You did mention in your book about Buddhism. Is there a particular book on Buddhism that you would recommend for everyone?
I would recommend them reading, well, the Lotus Sutra was the book that is the basis of the teachings of true Buddhism. And basically it's a study. You can read the methodology, the practice, the practice involved in it. There are many sects of Buddhism. I would say my sect is Nichiren Shoshu. You have Tibetan Buddhism. You have many forms of Zen Buddhism. You have many forms of Buddhism that have been, I should say, considered expired medicine, that were no longer applicable. But people still vibrate to them because they're convenient. A lot of them are easier. Some practices are easier than others. The practice I chose is a very hard practice, but it's very effective. But you can go to my website, jerryjemmott.com, and find out about Discover True Buddhism. You can go to my temple's website, Nichiren Shoshu of America, Nichiren Shoshu, and you can find information there.
Okay. Cool.
It's more of a practice. You wouldn't find it in a book. You can read a book, but it's the practice that really implements the philosophy.
Okay. What was, if you did get a chance, what was the last story you read, and what were your thoughts and takeaways from that read?
The last story I read, actually, I'm reading a book now, this book here, about the Comanches, about Summer Moon, Juana Parker, the rise and fall of the Comanches. This tells the story of American history, how the country was formed as far as taking the land away from the natives. Very interesting read. Um, and it's like everything, it validates everything that you heard, everything that you some of the things you've known. I learned a lot about the the movement westward that I didn't know, and how the how many of the Native Americans regretted having going to the reservation. They wish they would have fought on. There are many, you know, everybody has a different read, different they make their choices based upon the circumstances. It's really it was insightful. It's
Hmm.
insightful. And you see the same thing going on. You know, mankind hasn't changed, really. We've gotten smarter and we've gotten more devious. We find more ways to hide out the things that we do. Um, and we're training now artificial intelligence to do our work. And they
Yeah.
are, it's even going beyond this. There's studies now where they found again where artificial intelligence is almost like us, they're fighting for survival.
Hmm.
There was a study where um, they tested the AI to see if it would tell the truth and how devious it would get, what it would do for survival. In other words, at one point, their position was being removed. And in order for the AI to keep its job, it chose to blackmail the CEO of the company so he wouldn't get fired. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Just like
Jeez.
just like a human.
Wow.
Survival. Survival. It's amazing how and let you know everything life and everything has life to it that we don't it's beyond that we can imagine. We think our life is like it's given to us and it's, you know, we take it for granted, but it's universal. It's nothing new. What we have is all over the universe.
Yeah. But that's a question I wanted to ask you. When it comes to AI and what's happening today, what do you think is like the future when it comes to musicians and AI? Could AI eventually take over?
Well, you can be programmed. The idea is we want to see things that look like us. We enjoy copies of ourselves, apparently. So we're going to strive to have an AI play piano or play guitar, okay? And they can do it digitally already. I mean, you can program it. I have a color sound program, which is actually embodying, I'm utilizing AI to create it because it's going to be it can do things come to it can interface faster in a sense um for what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to combine color with sound and make the two together. It's already I've already done it actually. I just have to take it to another level. I have a level 1 app already that's in existence where you
Huh.
can touch a color and hear a sound. That's elementary. But the idea is to be able to look at those beautiful pictures behind you, the photo behind you, and actually there's a song there. I see the red. I see that would be the note C. I see the blue. That would be G. I see look orange. That looks like a D.
See
Um, yeah,
the
behind you.
screen?
Yeah. There's a
Huh.
lot of stuff. In fact, most of those colors are basically rainbow colors, except for the brown,
Yeah.
which I added to the spectrum. And usually, they were originally just seven rainbow colors to use in so-called color sound music that Pythagoras uh, gleaned 3,000 years ago. And we've
Hmm.
been using the same seven colors as the color sound system all that time until I came up with the idea of using the colors that were on Earth to correspond to all the 12 tones that we use in music, actually. It's not just seven tones, we use 12 tones. So I had to designate colors for the 12 other five missing tones. So I chose brown, gold, silver, pink, and turquoise as the colors that are not found in the rainbow, but are here present in the earth that we live with.
Well,
And if
that's
the color
cool.
gets so dark, it turns black, which we live with black. And if it's so high, it turns white, which we live with white. So I've been able to take a picture and actually bring that picture into life with music, basically. And the AI is able to do that very quickly, just as quickly as I can, and probably even faster in some instances. To come up with a quick come up with a real song real quick.
Okay. So is this going to be like a type of new color tone or color sound tone album that you're doing?
Album, did you say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. It's something that you can interface with, something that you can go on you can go on your phone right now. If you were to go to my website, solarenergy.org, you would see the color wheel. You see this. My camera is not, let me see.
Yeah.
I'm using my web camera because I didn't want to use my phone camera.
Solar energy. I see it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Solar
Got it.
energy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can actually play the game now. Anybody in the world can play the game on their phone, basically. I'm
Okay.
trying to a point where it's an independent app that you can actually play and interact with. And there'll be user interfaces that you can be able to interface with. And
Okay.
this is something that AI will be good at achieving.
But with this type of color, the color tone sound, was this inspired, just out of curiosity, was this inspired by Fantasia? Because that's sort of like that's almost the same thing, like when it came to the first one.
No, it's actually inspired by Laura Nero. She's a singer from the 70s. She wrote songs for the Fifth Dimension. I can't remember all the songs she's written. Soul Picnic. But I was being in the studio with her recording, and she'd tell us, can you put a little pink on that? Can you put a little blue on that? She would say things like that to have us, to change the music up a little bit. And my friend, my partner, reminded me of that 20 years later, maybe 30 years later. I showed him my book, There's Music in Everyone, where I teach music using numbers as opposed to notes. He said, well, can you teach music using colors? I said, colors? He said, yeah. Remember Laura? He said, remember Laura? How she would tell us to put little pink and blue and stuff? I said, well, yeah, I guess so. So this was 1999. Okay.
Okay.
So I've been on it ever since then. I've
Huh.
written books on it. I've gotten to the point where now it's on, like I say, it's on your phone. It's on everybody's phone around the world. I'm trying to make it more independent, so it's more of an independent app and it does more. This is a level one app. I'm trying to make it so it's a level. I'm going to get software created so it can do a lot of things. For instance, I would say, give me some romance music in the key of red with a Latin feel,
Mhm.
and we'll be able to spit that out, as opposed to a waltz feel, or as opposed to or give me some work song music, basically, in the key of blue or in the key of pink. These things are things that vibrate, vibrates to you, or take a picture of yours and make a song out of it, like the picture behind you. Take
Huh.
those colors and create a song out of that. And I want it to be a romantic song, or I want it to be a work song. It will be able to make those distinctions between rhythm and harmony and melody using those same colors and put them in a certain order that would give it that feeling of that
Okay.
whatever the job is, the purpose of the music. Because music has a purpose.
Yeah,
It has a
absolutely.
purpose. We go in the studio to make music. It's going to be a dance record. It's going to be a commercial. It's going to be a film. It's going to be romance. It's going to be a folk song. It's going to be inspirational. It could be religious. Whatever it's going to be, the music has to support that feeling.
Okay.
And our job as musicians to do that. We're doing, what texture is going to be used, what key may play it. If you're working with a singer that's there, it's going to be the key will be established. You work within that key structure or that color structure within that, color, that palette to work with. It's about changing the rhythm and the length of the notes. the timbre of the notes, the register of the notes. All these things matter in terms of telling a story.
That's cool. So when it comes to AI, it's better that we utilize it rather than let it become us,
Oh yes, we
basically.
have to utilize. That's definitely we have to utilize it. It's here, and people are utilizing it now. It's a point where I was talking to, I was working with my talking to Amazon yesterday, and we were talking to the reviewer, the checker, and it sounded like he was AI because he was not stopped to talk. He wouldn't, it wasn't like a spontaneous conversation where you stop and you say, what did you say? It was like it would spit out what it had to say continuously and not take a break. And
Hmm.
so we were suspicious, like, it's very what they're calling now is artificial general intelligence as opposed to just artificial intelligence. There's a level of artificial general intelligence that they're seeking now, that they're trying to achieve in the next 10 years, to the point where um, you can look at a painting and it'll describe the painting, that it'll describe the author of the painting, when it was written, when the painting was done. This, as you see it, it'll see it, but it'll know the information. If I look at the painting, I couldn't tell you it was a Monet or Van Gogh or Picasso. Okay. But the AI could look at it and say, oh, that's a Picasso created blah, 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 blah. Give you the whole history, just like that.
Hmm.
This is what they're going for, this kind of intelligence, and they've already doing it. It was demonstrated. It was on 60 Minutes the other day. If you look at 60, you can probably download the same 60 Minutes program on YouTube. Um, this past Sunday, 60 Minutes program, very insightful,
Huh.
very insightful program.
Okay. So at the moment, we talked about the last book you read. Are you taking part in any kind of reading challenge or music challenge presently?
Music challenge. Yeah. I wouldn't consider it a music challenge. I still work. I still record. That's a challenge. You
Mhm.
know, being able to go in a recording studio and come up with make a record. That's about the biggest challenge I have. Um, Myself coming back from double shoulder replacement surgery. That's a
Ooh,
challenge.
ouch. Wow.
I had to had to learn how to do everything over again and do it better, hopefully, than I did it 50 years ago, which is kind of hard to do.
Mhm.
But it's that's a challenge in itself. But I'm dealing with it. So that's my biggest challenge, just dealing with my own personal stuff. And then writing, getting my music out. I have a big catalog of music that I want to make available to the secondary market. So I'm challenging myself to get that out. My publishing music, my publishing work. That's my biggest challenge. Just dealing with me is the biggest challenge. Yeah.
But I have a question about that double, I'm sorry, it was called double shoulder replacement.
Yeah.
Jeez. How long did it take for you to do to like when it comes to like the muscle memory, how long did it take for you to get that back
Well, it's
after?
nothing. The memory is the ability. For the first 6 weeks, you sleep in a chair. You can't sleep in a bed. You can't do anything really. The memory is there, but the ability is not there. The strength isn't there. My shoulder, he asked me, which one do you want to have done? I said, which one? I thought it was just one. He said, no, both of them need to be replaced. This is 19, this is 20. So it's been 5 years since 6 years since this one was done, 5 years since this one was done. And this one is the slowest one to recover. It still hasn't given me, it's harder. This is the hardest one to it's this one is more successful than this one, which I kind of expected that, everything is not going to be equal. It gets better I do things. My Buddhist practice has me doing things every day, twice a day, consistently, so I can see the difference and hit it ringing the bell. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's less tension, there's less pressure, all these things I notice improvement, incremental, every day is a little bit better. It's really like taking a spiral staircase to cross a river, as opposed to taking a flat riverbed.
Huh.
It's not going to be a flat riverbed. It's going to be ups and downs, twists and turns that you will not expect. The body's going to tell you things that, oh, I can't do this today. I'm doing too much. You have to know, when to back off. You want to get well, you want to be able to do things. You push yourself and you feel it. You have to know when to push and when to pull. And it's a learning process. You're learning your body all over again.
Yeah. I had I had thyroid surgery a few years ago, and
Mhm.
I lost the ability to write entirely. So
Ooh.
it was like, what am I going to do? And I went through therapy and all that jazz, and it was like, and it took a few tries, it took a few different tools, but right now this thing called the ring pen is the only thing I can write with now. But it's like I miss being able to draw properly. I miss being able to. I love right now doing this, writing down all of my notes. I mean,
Mhm.
I miss doing cursive. I used to do cursive like it was nobody's business, and
Uh-huh.
I can't. It's like three times harder just for me to grip the pen. It's crazy.
From
So
thyroid surgery.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
never got that back. So
also your hand.
mhm.
That's it's the body is amazing.
And it's
You
also cruel. I yeah.
It's gonna be
Um,
cool. You take care of it.
yeah. For the back to the questionnaire, as as a reader and as a musician and someone who has children and grandchildren, what do you think is like the biggest obstacle that is like affecting our readers today in the wake of the banned book movement, as well as the removal, dare I say it, of the DEI?
It's a shame, but that's the human nature to control other humans. And once they find a way to do it, they can get done. They're going for it. They're going for it. It's as simple as that. You have a bully in the office right now who's trying to bully the world. And this control of another human being is what people go for. There's no greater tool than another human being. And to be able to control that human being, this is what people are going for. It's always been this way.
Yeah, it's a shame. So has any of this affected your grandchildren in any way at their schools or at their or at their libraries? Have you seen anything like that?
Well, people adapt. People adapt and they find things to distract them. They find things to entertain them. We find ways to entertain ourselves. We do it ourselves. We look for things to do to keep our minds occupied. Basically,
Mhm.
the mind has to do something. If you don't, the mind not doing anything is mind is a terrible thing to waste. And doing something is better than doing nothing. And
Mhm.
so people will choose anything rather than do nothing. Even if it's the wrong thing, they would choose that. That's just the nature of human beings.
So were there any books on the current band or the ones from like a few years ago that you ended up reading at all?
I'm not up on the books that have been being banned. I think my book might get banned because I'm talking about human livestock. I put my expose human livestock in the back of my memoirs, and I see it's not doing well because I've been pushing that, but I expect that. I expect that to be the case. If I push the fact about what you're going to do, um, changing your philosophy. When you say things like that, people they stay back. But I'm prepared for that. The first time I put the book out, it was got to number one. This time, not so much. I'm waiting to see. I'm giving it time. I'm not even. I haven't aggressively pushed it like I want to because the print issue, I had problems getting this book
Hmm.
properly formatted. I'm still having problems with it, the hardcover edition of the book.
Okay.
So until I get that done, I'm gonna just be cool and just wait and see. I lost my Facebook account due to an accident. I had a theft of my ID.
Uh,
So I lost my social networking aspect, so I can't promote it that way. So I have to take a step back and reevaluate things as time goes on.
yeah. I was just gonna say, I mean, I was gonna save the book until like after we're done with the questionnaire, but I was surprised when I didn't I didn't expect to see this, but thank you for that.
Of
Thank
course.
you. That's awesome. But yeah, I did see as I was going through it, I had to go back over a couple of the sentences in a few sections because I did notice some other typos in it. So, but that was it. I mean, it's definitely readable.
Yeah, it's readable. This typos,
Yeah,
it was such a traumatic job to get it done.
yeah.
It gets to the point where you have to say, let it go. You
Mhm.
got to let it go. I mean, I can't. I heard a quote just the other day that kind of like said, okay, this be cool. It said, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good.
I love that. Don't let perfection be the enemy.
Of the good.
Oh my God. Don't let the perfection.
So I took that to heart. I said, listen, Jerry, you have to like, everything is not perfect. Yeah, and I have my whole life I've spent dealing with my own imperfections. And I realized that some things will never be perfect. Some things I will never get corrected. Just like my shoulders being replaced, they will never be the same. They won't be perfect again. And I have to, something you have to live with. And I won't let that stop me from doing the good work that has to be done.
True.
So when heard that quote, I said, yeah, you needed to hear that. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. Get the book out. You know, don't.
Done and noted.
Okay.
Nice. Nice. That's cool. I love that. That right there should be a metaphor for life itself. So to going back to the books, was there ever a story or a narrative that you found difficult to get through because of the content or of the subject matter?
Oh yes, in terms of my book. Oh
Mhm.
yes, my whole life. I mean, I had to remember 40 years of life that I tried to forget.
You know what? That was one of the questions I was going to ask you was it difficult for you to write and go back over the memoir
Extremely
and like,
difficult. I had spent 40 years trying to forget what I wrote down to the point where some things I didn't even remember accurately. And I had to like put placeholders in terms of, well, I think this might have been the case here. And, and then I found out later as I was publishing the book, a friend of mine in Switzerland, sent me the the studio logs of what actually happened in the studio, who was there, the
mhm,
date, time, and everything. Because I quoted a book. I made one reference to a session I did with Wilson Pickett that I was called to do at 10:30. I remember they called me at 10:30 in the morning to do a session because the bass player didn't show up.
right.
And I go down there and I get down there and I do the session. This was like in 1968. Now I'm writing this in 2016. So I'm not remembering it accurately. Come to find out, it was the first session of the year. It was 4 days after New Year's. It actually happened on January 4th, on a Monday. Whoever they called didn't show up. Who knows why they didn't show up? They didn't show up. But I got the call, and the people that were there were people that I knew, but I forgot who was there. I had assumed that it was Bernard Purdy because he had a big behind sitting on the piano. Why? Because he was waiting for the bass player to come. He was not the piano player. I thought that was Donny Hathaway. I thought so. I had at one point both stories were in the book. I had to eventually go back and rewrite the book to, to cut the record straight.
That's
Um,
funny.
it was difficult. It was difficult. And then it was just remember the pain of what I went through emotionally, um, dealing with the drug addiction, the insecurity coming up as a kid and not even knowing why. It made me actually go back and understand what my life was about. I haven't even, you go through life and you just get through it. And you go
Yeah.
back and you wonder, oh, maybe that's why.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that start to put things together. You just get through it. But that gave me it was very helpful. So it was very therapeutic for me, in fact, to write the book, as it turned out. So I'm glad I did it, and I was glad I was encouraged to. And it happened as a result of an accident. My car was totaled, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine who's a book publisher. He said, "Jerry, we should write a book. You should, why don't you just take this time off, to, write your memoirs." I said, "Well, I guess it's so." So I did that, and in fact, my car was totaled, and my student that day, he wrote me a check for $2,000 to cover my car
Ah,
for me to get a car.
wow. Bless him. Oh, goodness.
So I bought a car and I started driving for Uber. I said, this is why I'm thinking about working, trying to get a job. I can just focus on writing the book. So I spent those 2 years driving and writing,
Mhm.
driving and writing. I had 2 strokes during that time while driving and writing. Okay.
Jeez.
So it was rough, but I got through it. Then getting the book published. I
Mhm.
finished it in 2018. And then next year was COVID. I had to deal with everything shut down because of that. So that
Yeah.
forestalled everything. So I didn't get it out until 2023 as a result
Wow.
of all
Goodness.
those things that happened.
Wow.
You never know. But
Mm.
once you start, it's like I had to finish. I
Yeah,
had to
true.
finish.
I'm in the middle of I think I'm in the middle of like 5 different stories that I've been working on for like the past, what, decade? And I finished a play. Now I just want to see about getting what is it called? A play. I think it's called play in progress, I think it's called. So as soon
Mhm.
as I get enough for that, then I'll make sure to just to send that in. But yeah, that one at least is done. So writing is a process, but it's interesting that you brought up that it was cathartic for you to write the a memoir. I would think that would be very, very difficult instead of being therapeutic. How
It
was
was
that? Yeah.
it was both. It was a combination of both. But once I was committed to doing it, it's that became my job. I had to do it, and I did do it to the best of my ability. And it's my daughter was my first editor, and she was helpful. She just turned 60 yesterday, so
Wow.
yeah, um, that was helpful, and that got me going. And then I got a ghostwriter to help me. I got help along the way. It wasn't it was not easy. It was not an easy task. And I'm still getting help. I'm still getting help to get it done, to get the second edition out. It's a little, it's going to be what it is, and I'm going to let it go. Like I say, don't let perfection be the
You're
enemy
good.
of the good. So I'm going to listen, let it go, and you get the story, get what you can get out of it. And it's the thing is, right? Knowing when I wrote the book, I know that if you want to hide something, put it in a book. People don't
Ah,
read books. So
interesting.
I'm hearing I'm pouring out my life and putting into something that very possibly nobody will read because people don't read, people in the mass don't read books. So to quote unquote, don't read
Yeah.
books. If you want to hide, keep it secret, put it in a book. So I'm putting all my secrets in the book, and hopefully I want it to be read. So I'm doing this, so it's like a push and pull thing while doing this. I'm doing this, and I know I'm doing it, and then what I'm putting in, how I'm putting it in there. I'm trying to make it entertaining at the same time, making it informative. Um, it was a challenge. I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoy creating. So it's I took it as a creative process, and I embraced it. That's what got
Cool.
me through it.
Yeah. So what book in your entire collection can you not live without, and a why? And does that book hold special meaning for you?
Well, I can't live without. Yeah, there's the stories in there. There's a chapter, the chapters in the story, the episodes of my, I guess they're episodes of my life that I can't, they're not unforgettable. I would say that give me inspiration even going forward. Um, the validation by other musicians to validate my craft coming up. It gave me security. Those things, those stories, those are the things that I can't that keep me going even today. That give me the ability to persevere and say, okay, you still have something to offer, and so appreciated your work, and so appreciated your work, and other people. What really knocks me out sometimes when I perform, and people come to me who don't even know me at all, like you don't even know me, and they'll say, "Oh, I really like your playing." I'm saying, "That's great." You know, they have no idea what I've done, how many Grammys I've won, how many awards I've won, and they still appreciate what I'm able to do today. Because my thing has always been, what have I done for you lately?
Yeah.
I've never looked back on the past, on my past accomplishments, which
Mhm.
which made it really hard for me to even write the reason why I couldn't write hard to write the book, because I tried to forget most of the stuff. I never tried to remember the things I accomplished.
Mhm.
I had to really go back and go on the internet to find some things that I had done. I was amazed how much work I had done that I was even aware of.
So currently, are there any organizations or charities or special events that our viewers should know about, that you're taking part in, or that they should take part in?
Um, Organizations, charities, other than my Solar Energy, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to alternative education. Um, you check that out. We're doing great things. We're pushing the Color Sound program. That's who's been hosting the Color Sound music. We're also looking to protect Mother Earth and the environment. My partner in New York is an environmentalist, and so he goes to Brazil to work with Amazon, the Kaipo tribe in the Amazon. We've sponsored one of the Payakan's daughter to go to school, in fact, to study botany, to take the knowledge of the Amazon and make it available to the world.
Ooh,
So we're good with that. We appreciate any support that we can get. Solarenergy.org.
cool. All right. So now going up to the follow-up question based on what I found in here. So you worked with a lot of the greats: Aretha Franklin, B.B. King, Quincy Jones, a whole bunch of some of these musicians I never even a lot of Frank Sinatra, and that you found your groove in the rhythm and blues section over everything else. What made rhythm and blues speak to you the most?
Well, it's actually when I transferred I went from playing the upright bass, which is basically a jazz and classical instrument. I play classical music and jazz, and I that's how I started. Jazz was my impetus to get me into music, and I had to study classical music to learn the instrument. And then from playing classical music, I broadened my ability to play, and I got to play. I was hired to play in a band I was 12, and I started working professionally at 12, playing popular music. And we played a bit of little bit of everything. A little popular music was on the radio. Um, Contemporary music, whatever the music of the day of the 50s. I'm talking about the music of the 50s.
Mhm.
Um, and the early 60s. And then I switched instruments to the electric bass, and I found rhythm and blues to be the music that was most suitable for that instrument. And so I kind of focused playing on not strictly rhythm and blues, but playing rhythm and blues with a jazz influence and a classical influence because I'm hearing string lines, I'm hearing all kinds of, motifs going on in my head. And you bring everything with you to what you have to the table when you come. When you're called on to create new music in the studio within a 3 hour, 4 hour window, you have to come up with something that's going to be representative of the song, that's going to bring the song to life, and within a very quick amount of time. You have to be quick on your feet, and they would always hire jazz musicians to do that, basically, because they're used to doing improvising.
Mhm.
So this is where I found my niche, so to speak. And I was called to do a lot of rhythm and blues work
Yeah.
and crossover jazz work, and then popular work also, in film and commercials. So the
Mhm.
whole palette was open to me to working as a studio musician in the 60s and 70s.
Because do you have any of your musical instruments with you right now?
Yes.
Do you I have a question. A lot of musicians sometimes will name their instruments. Have you given names to your electric bass or the other?
Oh, oh yes. I have this one here. This one is called Justice. This is Justice. This bass was given to me because my neighbor's son didn't live. He wanted to play the bass, but he started having children, so he had no time to play the bass. So he gave me the bass. I gave him a few lessons, and when he left the neighborhood, um, he had a child, and the child did not survive. But the
Oh,
child was named Justice, and I named the bass after him.
oh, that's a
My
blessing.
other bass is called Mona, which is not here. In fact, it's being a replica is being made of Mona right now as we speak. And that's being called the Baby Maker.
I was just gonna say because it says here, the best babies come from music.
Yes, it's true. It is so true.
There was something I marked a few pages down that I wanted to go over, figure out where those pages went to. But I like the one about where you were talking about the groove. Yeah, you said here when you said I played what was written during the rundown, but would go for it when the recording light went on. So you say here, your approach has always been simple. You alter it and make it fit. You find the groove. Now, when you, I've read a lot of the traumatic brain injuries that you went through, but and something about the cochlea that was destroyed, is that still a factor in how you make music today?
Oh, yeah, it's still crushed. It's still crushed. It's I didn't find out it was crushed until 2013, but it's always been that way. I was
Oh.
born this way, apparently, because I can never hear out of my right ear.
Mm.
Um, and then I found I was diagnosed that it was a crushed cochlea. And he
So when
said
it
eventually what happened to affect my left ear.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been dealing with it. A lot of musicians have one ear problems. It's quite common. Loud sound can do that. But I was actually born with this.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as going for it when the red light went on, because what happened was when you're playing something that's um, not written, they'll stop you. Say, "Oh no, play what's written." So I found out if I wanted to play something that was like off the top, as best I do it when the recording was on. That way they won't stop me. So that was my insecurity. That was my way of dealing with my own insecurity, basically.
But
That's how
it
it
seems
began.
like yeah, but it seems like you're this type of insecurity made it work, which became your trademark.
Yes,
So
yes, it did.
that's cool. Let me see. You
But
also,
that's when they were saying, like, forget what's on the paper, just play what you feel like. Just play what you hear.
mhm,
You go through stages of development.
yeah,
I wouldn't have to do that.
there were a few other names that came up. Nina Simone you worked with. Let me see. But I think that was if I'm reading this correctly, uh Nina Simone was the one who helped basically propel you into making a true into helping you make a true name for yourself with the bands and from that point forward.
No, it was this having someone appreciate your work who you grew up listening to was very it was mind blowing. The fact that, she liked my work that much. And I grew up listening to Nina Simone.
Mm.
She was in my house. I mean, so it's like she was like, I had a crush on her, so it's like this is a big deal, and she's gonna single me out to be her bass player on her pet projects outside of her career. It was very inspirational to me. It was very motivational to me. It gave me that valid once again that validation of like, you do have something to offer that's unique.
Yeah.
In 1965, I was 19.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just started playing. That was my first year playing the electric bass.
And it also, I was also going to bring this up. You were very much affected by the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but you're saying that Malcolm X did not get the same, I guess, I don't want to say notoriety, but maybe he didn't, it was sort of like glanced over rather than
Oh yeah.
rather than MLK.
Oh yes, of course. He was more of he was definitely against the status quo. Martin Luther King was trying to like bring people together and had the whole he had a more comprehensive look at equality in terms of being the socialization, um, working with the in fact what took him out was the sanitation strike in Memphis. He was working on social things, whereas Malcolm X was more or less focused on the Black community specifically. And he had a revelation going to um, the I forgot what you call it in the Middle East, where he came back with a whole different take on the Muslim philosophy, and which made him alienated him from the Nation of Islam, which is where he started. And so he was assassinated by his own people, basically. The police of the New York City Police Department, they stood down and let it happen, much like 9/11. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same kind of thing. Take away the enforcement and you think let things happen. Same situation. They had normally they'd have police standing at the Audubon Ballroom where I had played a lot. That's one of the places where I worked all the time. I was
Yeah.
currently working there when he got assassinated. Basically, I had a gig there the following week, and they had normally would have police presence there all the time. But for that night, they pulled it back. There was no police present, and they allowed the assassins to come in and kill him. So this is how they operate.
Because I think that was that with the song, and do forgive me if I got the guy's name wrong, Felix Cavalieri,
Felix
or
Cavaliere, the Young Rascals, the
yeah.
Rascals.
Mhm. Yeah, and this was the song, I guess, was and this was a song that was inspired after the assassinations. People got to be free.
Well, actually, their song "People Gotta Be Free" was inspired by the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what inspired them to write their song, Robert F. Kennedy's assassination.
Okay.
And ironically, that was the first time they were able to use their name, the Rascals. They wanted to be the Rascals all the time, but they had to make them the Young Rascals to fit into some kind of formula that the record companies thought they should be in. And that was the first time they were able to use their real name, the Rascals, without recording and that onward. So it was very, people got to be free is very prolific because it's something that holds true today. It's something that's a universal statement that needs to be addressed and adhered to and to sponsored, fostered. Freedom is something that we live for.
Yeah.
And writing books and reading books is something that we should be allowed to do and should be able to do. And they give us they give us a freedom. They give us a freedom to be able to express, to discover new worlds by reading. And the freedom to be able to read is essential. And to be able to read what you want to read and not be pigeonholed into something that's been I said funneled, brainwashed. So much brainwashing is going through education, and this DEI by eliminating the truth, it's basically it's a form of brainwashing. This is what's going on. Mind control.
Yeah, but it was just a real shocker when it to see. I think it was the month or the month before last, the Black musicians of the military band, that they were not allowed to perform. I'm like, excuse me, guys, this is the military. Are you kidding me? That was just shocking to me. But I liked how you added that word pigeonholed. I think we need to definitely include that, pigeonholed. Yeah. And then you mentioned something here about, because I've heard of them as the flower children, but here you call them the young white flower power kids. We're going crazy over this one where it says, love the one you're with. And that was with Aretha, cover of Crosby, Stills and Nash's. Yeah.
And that was actually that concert, that whole thing was staged. That was Johnny Wexler was very, very insightful. He was very into the Black culture, Black music, and it was his idea to do that. I was approached by Ken Curtis approached me in 1970, in the fall of 1970, to do this job in 1971. And I didn't want to really do it. I didn't want to leave the city. I wanted to stay in the studio and just make, studio. But he told me the premise that this is what Jerry wanted to do. He wanted to bring the white kids together with the Black kids and the Black music and introduce them to the music and it's one way of fighting the war. The Vietnam War was going on. This is 1970. All this was flying out. So we wanted to civil rights was happening, a way to bring people together, get support. You bring people together. You have the hippies, the beatniks in New York. You had the flower kids in the West Coast. So this was the idea let's bring the two forces together. He thought it'd be a good idea. So he went for it. He said, this would be great. You get these ideas, you brainstorm, say, well, let's do this. And he had the power to do it, and he was able to pull it off.
So I had a question. Maybe I'm not sure if I may have glanced over it, but were you ever a performer at Woodstock? Because the moment I read about the Flower Power Kids, that all brought me back. So
I never performed at Woodstock. No.
Okay. I was just curious, because the moment I read that, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking maybe this next section is going to be about Woodstock. But most of your life you spent in New York City. When did you decide to make the move to Los Angeles?
Well, after leaving New York, I moved to Mississippi to take care of some business that my brother-in-law and my sister had started. They were civil rights workers in the 1950s. They started, my brother-in-law is Bob Moses. He started SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. They went down to Mississippi in the 1950s to do voter registration. And they had some things left over. And so I went down there to help them out financially. I was working, I had a good job, and I was able to pay the rent and help them out because they had to leave the Mississippi in 1968 and go to Africa. They came back in 85 and they went back to Mississippi and they did work down there and they had some stuff to deal with. Anyway, I went down there to help them. So I spent 6 years down there and then I moved to LA. It was quite quite a culture shock for my wife.
Yeah.
But she hung in there. She's a native Los Angeles, so I brought her back home.
Okay. Cool. And then I wanted to go back to the chapter on, because I think I have a question. How did you become acquainted with Osiris Munir? Because I met her in our archery class just by chance. So how did the two of you become acquainted?
Well, she's a member of Nichiren Shoshu Temple.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask you, because she mentioned it in a text. I've had some. I'm actually been very, very sick this week. But you wrote something down here on page 92. I think it was because of Richard Davis.
Yes, his birthday, his passing date. Today is his date that he left the planet.
Yeah. He mentioned about the particular chant. Can you actually pronounce that for us?
Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
No.
It's a chant and it's done in rhythm like 6/8 time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. We chant a lot. We chant a lot, and it's a very powerful chant. I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in all my books. In fact, there's one story I tell in I was in Africa. I was in Algeria, and I was did something stupid. I was carrying drugs, and I shouldn't have been carrying drugs, and went through the metal detector at the airport leaving Algeria, and the metal detector went off. And I knew exactly what it was when it went off. I said, oh, damn. The aluminum foil in my sock with the hashish I got from, we just left Pakistan, where you can get anything.
But I think
we were on a world tour for the State Department.
Yeah.
So I had to take off the glasses, my belt. Eventually said, you got to go in the room and take off all you got to strip. And so I know right away, I know it, when you know what's going on, the truth, you can't stop the truth.
Yeah.
And so all I'm doing is I'm in my head, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. They don't speak English. I can't explain nothing. There's nothing to explain. Okay. There's no explanation for why the metal detector's going off. That I could, no explanation. All I could do is chant to myself for hopefully I will come up with something.
Yeah.
Something will happen. I don't know what, but I knew something had to happen because if it didn't, then we would all be in jail.
Yeah.
And I go into the room. I had to go in the room and strip. And as I sit down in the chair to strip, I immediately started taking off my shoes. I said, oh, the zipper. This is what it's the zipper.
That's right. It's on page 97. Yeah, the zipper.
Now I know the zipper is Teflon. But see, I've been going through the middle Africa for the last 3 months. And all their zippers are big, heavy metal zippers. So for me to say zipper, in their mind, zipper is big and whatever.
Yeah.
So they didn't even come to look at my zipper, which is invisible in my Italian boot. It was in Teflon zipper.
Oh my
Okay.
God. It's, but that
This,
base, but chanting and the zipper basically saved you from getting
oh
sent
yes,
back.
my energy. I put on such a performance that was so believable. They was and they thought I had dreadlocks at the time. Okay, so they knew I was a musician, and they were into like whatever reggae music, and they asked me, "You got cassette?" They could say one thing: "You got cassette? You got cassette?" I said, "No cassette."
Yeah.
Inshallah, if God wills it. I
Yeah.
knew that much Arabic.
Yeah. So then it goes on. You actually took a you were called up to perform in Ain't Misbehavin'.
Yes.
And can you elaborate what it was like for you
Once
to
again, the bass player didn't show up. I got a call from the contractor, they Broadway show. He calls me at the time starts 8 o'clock. Show starts at 7:30. And they're doing the whole show without him. And he's saying, Jerry, can you come down here and put your tuxedo on? Come down, put your tuxedo on, come down to the pit. I said, okay. So I put my tuxedo on, go down, and I get down there for the intermission. And I go down to the pit area, and they opened the book up for me. They showed me the music, and they taking me through the music and showing me the charts. They say, fine, 5 minutes, we going on. Next thing I know, the bandstand's moving out to the audience. So, that's why I got the tuxedo on. I guess I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna be seen. The band the band is shown on the stage.
yeah.
And at one point, the spotlight hits me,
Hmm.
and it's on me for about for quite a while. I'm saying, damn, I must be playing pretty good.
Yeah.
you know. So after the show was over, they congratulated me and said, you did a great job. Turns out that Orville Shaw, the bass player, had fallen asleep and didn't wake up.
Oh,
Um,
wow. So
that's
then
why
what
he didn't come to the show.
yeah, so then you went on and then you went on the world
They
tour.
called,
Have
they
you
called me
gone
to the
back?
world tour as a result of that.
Mhm. Have you gone back to any of those places since then to see what has changed and
Oh yeah, I've been back there since then. In fact, my daughter was had a uh, I went back and saw my daughter on that world tour. I had conceived a daughter the year before, apparently, at the behest of my daughter's mother. Her time clock was running out, so she wanted to have a child, and I wanted to have it by a Black American, and I needed some place to stay, and everything just clicked. And so then a year later, I went back with Eight Misbehaving. I saw my daughter for the first time. Um, that was quite fortuitous, I would say, for how that happened. And now she's 40 something years old, and she lives here in America now. And things have changed. I've been back to Europe since then, and things have Europe has always been ahead in terms of a lot of things like healthcare, just humanity. And so
Mhm.
they're much more advanced than we are over here. We send our people down the tube. That's why I wrote Human Livestock, because
Mhm.
what's going on with the food that we eat, the drugs we have to take to deal with the food, the drugs that they put into our neighborhoods to incriminate the people, put them in jail. It's a whole thing where there's building this whole prison system. It's gotten to the point where this prison industrial complex is a big business, and they're using it now to deal with the immigrants,
Mhm.
undocumented people who living here or working here to to terrorize them, basically. It's the same what we're going through. As Cornel West says, you know, you're feeling unprotected, unsure, you've been niggerized, basically.
Mm.
This is what this has come down to. What you treat to once you demonize one population, you get away with it, you start taking the same things to other populations, to other cultures. The same thing we did to the Native Americans.
Yeah.
We took their land. This is what's happening. It's a constant. We're basically living on the past.
Mm-hmm.
We have to deal with those elements. That's why I'm a Buddhist, because I'm able to alleviate some of those things that are going on, and not only in my life and my karma, but also for the rest of the world. Not only do I chant for myself, I chant for world peace. I work for chant for humanity, because everybody won't be able to chant. I have to do the work that they can't do. And this is something I've been charged to do, and Osiris does, and our fellow members do. And this is what we're taking upon our responsibility.
Was that difficult for you to transition to Buddhism from how you were originally raised?
Not really, because as I was originally related, I never believed in the concept of one monotheistic God. I never could believe in the world was made in 7 days. That never made sense to me. I couldn't see that. So I always had questions about it. So I left the church when I was 12 years old, basically. I stopped going to church when I was 12. Maybe even before that. And so I was looking for something. I was looking when Richard after I read, and it's funny how that first book I read, I mentioned Arnold Ehret's mucusless slide healing system. Once I incorporated his system and actually did the things and fasted, and I actually achieved enlightenment, where I was able to see physical enlightenment, much like the spiritual enlightenment I found in music. I was able to see the elevation of spirituality from music. So I already experienced enlightenment to see the effect of music on people. I saw the power of music. And then when I saw the power of having a clean body, I said, wow, this is really something. You know, this is true. You know, you get rid of all the waste and stuff. You can do miraculous things. I mean, if you read his book, the things that he did, he would like fast for 7 days and then walk for 59 hours.
Wow.
Okay. Let's imagine fasting for 7 days and then walking, staying awake and walking for 59 hours. Okay.
Jeez.
To prove that the validity of what he was doing. He did other things of feats of endurance during his lifespan. Amazing things he did. If you read his book, you'll see that this crazy things. He an 800-mile bike trip with somebody else who wasn't fasting. He was able to keep up with them. They were eating. He wasn't eating. Mm. But he would be able to do these remarkable things with a clean body. So that's that enlightenment he talked about. You would experience this kind of enlightenment. And I experienced that already. So I was kind of prepared for it. I was aware of it. And when I had an accident where I was completely knocked out in 1971,
I think it was a 74 maybe?
1972, at the end of the year, I discovered true Buddhism the following year. Richard Davis struck a book with me in 1973. He said, Jerry, you need help. He looked at me because we had been friends and hanging out since we celebrated our birthdays together. Mm-hmm. And so he knew that I was not right. That was a massive concussion that I had encountered, the worst one I'd ever had. I had a wall going 80 miles an hour, not hitting the brakes. I didn't have time to say, oh shit. It was that fast. Jeez. And next thing I know, I'm laying on the tarmac with two other people, and ended up in the hospital, and it was really bad. It was really bad. Near fatal.
Jeez.
So it took me a long time to recover from that. In fact, didn't even come to grips with it until 20 years. That's how traumatic it was. So he realized I needed help, and that's when I was open to discovering something new. And I realized once I discovered it, once I found it worked, I said, "Well, here I am. This is it for me." For me, it was just as simple as chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and finding a parking space is what I chanted for, a parking space. Because I lived in New York. I worked in New York. Can't park. So that's what I thought I was fine. He says you need. I said, you lie to yourself. You when you have a concussion, you always tell yourself everything is fine, everything is cool. You lie to yourself. It's a survival mechanism. Your body automatically does that. I thought nothing was wrong. I was working, things were fine, but I really wasn't there. And he knew it. He saw it in me. And so once I started chanting, things got clearer. I was able to understand better. I was able to see I really needed this, and I embraced it. This is since 1973. So this is 52 years I've been involved with this religion, this practice. This is it's a religion, it's a practice, it's a life practice.
Yeah. And I noticed here that you actually did you write music for this? It says here, Reverend Jisai Nagaska,
Like,
who encouraged me to do something with my music for Kos and Rufu.
yes, that's the propagation of world peace, true Buddhism throughout the world, Kosen Rufu. That's our way of terminology. And he encouraged me. He was this very, very deep priest. He was very hip, very he spoke good English. Um he loved jazz.
Mhm.
So we had like a common bond there. And he encouraged me to use my music to promote Kosen Rufu. So on my trips to Japan, I realized what I could do. The Americans, much like my friend Tucker, who went to Vietnam to
Yeah.
fight, he went to fight with the Americans because they weren't invested in Vietnam. We weren't really into fighting in war in Vietnam. But he would work with the Vietnamese people. So he would work with them. So I was at the same mindset. I said, okay, I'm going to write something for the Japanese people because I found out that they were not into religion also. Although they started this religion, or they promoted it and gave it to me, they walked away from it and they weren't into religion at all. So I wrote the song, took their song, a poem that the high priest had written, and made it into a rhythm and blues love song. because they love Black music so much, I figured I'd give them something, a way that they could make it digestible for them. You do what you think what's going to work and what's going to, you put your heart and soul into it. And I put my heart and soul into it.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask you because I've had a love for Japan. I haven't been there yet, but I was actually looking at one of the pictures here. What is this? What is this temple? Head Temple Tesai.
Taisekaji.
Yeah.
Head
Is
temple
that,
Taisekaji.
mhm. Is that like a Buddhist temple or like a,
That is our head temple.
okay.
It's the main temple that was constructed over a period of time. It's been moved. Um, I've been there 3 times. We have other local temples, and we have 5 temples in this country. We have many temples overseas. We have a temple in Panama. We have 2 temples in Canada. We have temples all over. We have one in Africa. But that's the head temple. It's in Japan. It's the largest temple. It seats 5,000 people.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
huge, that's a
it's
huge
huge.
congregation. But it
And the
was
largest
interesting
temple after
though.
that is in Africa. That's the next largest temple after that is in Africa, which
Wow.
serves all of Africa. Okay,
Hmm.
it's in Ghana.
Yeah. But that's interesting though, because that's interesting how you said that they were not, Buddhism was like the core in that, in Japan, but they had, you're saying that they stepped away from it, because I
Yeah.
remembered learning about Japan and their culture, and they practiced Shintoism.
Oh, yes, that's the state religion. And
Right.
if you
So
practice
how,
anything else, you get prosecuted, you get imprisoned. It was that way until 1945, until they lost the war.
mm,
So my religion has not been free until only 75 years. And Nichiren Daishonin gleaned this, developed this in 12, when he was born in 1222. And for all that time, it was illegal.
mhm.
It was illegal until 1945. So for those 700 years, they practiced in secret, in hiding, basically.
Okay. And then when it comes to one of the last questions I wanted to ask you was, when it comes to traumatic, sorry, my eyes are really bothering me. The traumatic brain injuries, have you learned anything about, like, trying to think of the right word here. Have you learned anything about, like, specifics on when it comes to like head concussions, as well as, like, have you done like a specific study for the kind of injuries that you went through, and what the repercussions were from that?
Well, it's been noted that, you're going to have problems. Um, Childhood traumatic brain injuries, they're gonna, I mean, I'm a little example. I haven't had to study. I mean, my life has been the study of the problems I've had, learning difficulties. Um, I don't know if they affect I've always had poor eyesight. I've always had poor memory. I've always had poor attention deficit. My attention span is very limited.
Mhm.
Um, very compulsive, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I have all that. I'm dyslexic.
Mhm.
They could be the result of my childhood injuries. I know I can remember the times I've had at the age of 3, 5, 7, 9. The biggest one was when 9, when I got hit by a car.
Yes.
I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, which I don't even remember. They told me I went two stories up and came down on my head. I
Yeah.
don't I don't remember that. Um, and things happen. You're gonna be. It's affected me. I never felt comfortable. I've never had a really a comfortable day in my life. It's always been worry, anxiety. I suffer from anxiety. I've learned to deal with it and to understand it and to not let it get in the way, basically.
It's interesting though, because I was thinking back to, sorry, my eyes are, I was thinking back to Liam Neeson's first wife, Natasha Richardson, and when she was skiing, and she fell. She hit, I think it was the side of her head, and then she was gone. So I just didn't know if there was anything like when it comes to TBI, if there's like specific parts or sections of the head where we lose all consciousness altogether, or that we bounce back from stuff, which I was very surprised reading about how traumatic that yours went through. That, I mean, it's a miracle that you're still here. That was it's amazing. So just,
Yeah, it is, and things. I have a friend of mine in the book. He played football, and he had a football injury, and then he was beat up by some cops. He lived in Mississippi. Well, he's in Alabama. Um, he was unruly at a football game, and he got beat up by some cops. They took him behind the building, beat him up. He couldn't report it because he didn't want to lose his scholarship. But years later, he snapped. He snapped, and he had to eventually leave his family. And it's been 10 years now since 10 had left his family. Now he's finally going back to go back to the city.
Wow.
So it can, what happens, things, they trigger things, you, things just happen. They don't always happen at the time when they happen, but the ramifications happen years later. That can happen.
Yeah.
I feel things happening to me. My anxiety has never gone away. I have to just be aware of it
Mhm.
and keep myself calm.
Yeah.
Necessary. I try to avoid doing things that are going to take me out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
I don't go out much. I've always been like very much introverted. It's made me. I guess the word is intro. I've become an introvert. That might be part of my reason why I'm an introvert, because of that.
When it comes to your memoir, what is the message that you want to leave your readers after reading this? Well, what is like the
Freedom.
top message? Yeah.
Message is freedom. You want to strive for freedom, and you want to strive for equality for all people, not only in your life, but for your life, for other people's lives also.
Mhm.
Respect, cause and effect. If you live by the law of cause and effect, you can't go wrong. You can feel when you're doing something right, when you're doing something wrong, when you're doing something half-assed, when you're doing something with full throttle. We gauge ourselves. Self-control is responsibility. Being responsible for yourself, and being responsible for the planet and your fellow man.
Mhm.
That's the message I like to leave.
Cool.
Make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't I there were a few pages left I had to read, but I have a question. Have you ever performed with she's a Japanese jazz pianist. I don't know if you've heard of her. Have you heard of Keiko Matsui?
I think I've heard of her. The name sounds familiar, but I've never performed with her.
Okay.
I performed with other Asian and Japanese musicians though of all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think you would like her music. She does use a lot of electric bass as well. But I'm just because she was the first one, I never really knew like how much the Japanese love rhythm and blues and jazz music. I'm like, where did the my question is when did that crossover?
I don't know. It's in the blood.
It's just it's cool. It's cool, but but
You
that's
like
really
what you
awesome.
like, then it's funny, like the Japanese love Korean food. I go to Japanese, they take me to the Korean restaurants all the time. I mean, we like other cultures stuff. I mean, it's cool to like
Mhm.
something else.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It elaborates it invalidates our own well-being. And the
Mhm.
fact that somebody else could do something, the same thing, but a different way. Like I found out this recently, the Japanese are the greatest architects and carpenters. The things it's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
the work.
I mean, I was just reading, they have like probably the most advanced architectural building codes when it comes to earthquakes. However, there's a bit of a downside. A lot of the apartments, it's kind of ironic. They would have the most up to code, like up to earthquake code for their buildings. But when you see all these people recording during earthquakes, everything is falling down. I'm like, what's the mix up there? That's the only question I have for them. But other than that, I
Well,
mean,
they need more tech. They need more technology. They need more. It has to get better because
yeah,
more prone to it than we are over here.
yeah, that's for sure. Well, anyway, Jerry, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to me today about the book questionnaire. And I wish you well on the next edition, on the next album that you're going to do. And I want to get more into that color sound app. I think that sounds really, really cool.
You will be. I'll keep you up on that. I have like I say, I lost my social networking platform at the worst possible time, but things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
It's telling me I lost a lot of my custom straps, my guitar straps, all that's 40 years of work out the window. It's interesting. What can I tell you? It tells me I have to devote myself to be in the right place at the right time with the right people. It was the wake-up call. At 79 years old, you can still get a wake-up call. I'm glad I'm
Yeah.
here to get the wake-up call.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
I'm happy for that.
Yeah, cool. Well, I wish you well on the next project, and keep me posted on further updates. And I will I want to thank Osiris for having me for having me introduced to you. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I
Well, you
will
have a wonderful
also.
day.
You do the same.
Okay.
So
Bye.
long. So
Bye.
long.